Soul Twin Audios. Stories created solely with the vintage soul in mind. OTRTSTA, what story can I connect you with today? I don't really need a story. I just wanted information. Very well. Tune your radio dial to anchor.fm/Soul Twin Audios. That's SOLE. Soul Twin Talk, a backstage pass into productions at Soul Twin Audios through guest interviews, commentaries, promos, and featuring your teasers and trailers. It's been a very busy week here at Soul Twin Audios. I have completed episode 1 of Dark Paradise. You'll be able to hear that on September 5th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I have included it as a premiere event on YouTube, so if you want to drop in and chat about the episode as you're listening to it, that could be a lot of fun. I'll also be there to answer questions and hopefully get some people interested in discussing Dark Shadows and Strange Paradise with me in the upcoming episode, which will air on October 3rd. This series will air on the first Monday of the month. Now, I'm in the process of writing my first episode for the crossover series, which you'll exclusively hear in Dark Paradise, starting in episode 2. Night has fallen upon the great estate, and yet the occupants within lie restless, plagued with their own dark secrets, and longing for a paradise beyond their reach. Is this Collinwood in the year 1897, or is it Meljardin in 1969? Join me as I explore the beginnings of 2 very distinct Gothic soap operas. One with a well-known fan base, while the other has nearly fallen into obscurity. I bid you welcome to my Dark Paradise. The casting call for The Phantom Archer is still open, and the deadline for that is September 10th by midnight. The Topaz Flower, a crime club recreation by Cerebral Cinema, is coming up on September 10th. You can purchase your ticket at the regular ticket price of $10 from September 4th to the time of the event, starting at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you will join us. October's Child is still accepting donations over at their Indiegogo page. If you like their trailer, which I've played a few times on Soul Twin Talk, please consider donating to help them continue their awesome series.
It's a very small town. Pretty sure I know everybody by sight.
In Wolfbrook, New Hampshire.
Welcome to Unhallowed Grounds.
There's not much else out here worth being scared of.
There is something outside of my house.
It's gonna come through the windshield.
What the hell happened here?
Have you noticed anything strange?
It just felt really weird.
It has started again. It has started again.
And what is with all this purple goo?
Something the size of a Buick and dripping purple goo.
I remember.
I could put you in a very small concrete room. Just because.
Could someone explain to me what's going on?
I thought you were something else.
Don't you mean someone else?
No.
There's no use in getting worked up over something that never happened, is there?
October's Children.
Coming September 2022.
I have Gareth Bowley in the studio with me today.
Hi there, Rachel.
He's a voice actor, author, and producer who was recently teamed up with Wandering Audio, formerly known as Gypsy Audio, created by Gwendolyn Jensen Woodard and Alex Gilmore.
Once we seize telecom for the whole planet, it will be over fast, with minimal casualties.
And you in charge of the whole planet. A planet full of people desperate to maintain security rather than risk unrest.
Stolid must stand the granite of command. Surely you understand that.
I propose a compromise. Share the planet. Share the array. hear me out. Both tribes get to broadcast to the entire planet.
This unwanted strain visits my heart with sadness.
Why, my son? Making my death familiar to my tongue digs not my grave one jot before the date. I've worn the garland of my honours long. I would not leave it withered to thy brow, but flourishing and green, worthy the man, who, with my dukedoms, heirs my better glories.
This praise, which is my pride, spreads me with blushes.
Thank you, thank you. My father once coined the phrase, "This is a time of great prosperity for our people." And what a time it was! We wielded an ironclad fist across this entire continent. Everything was good. But that time has passed.
What we went through! You really need to lie back down now, Monty. In your condition...
She is my sister. She was sick, and now she's dead. And I wasn't even told. Were you even gonna tell me? Were you going to let me go home to comfort my mother?
Don't you take that tone with me, Yeoman. Please, Yeoman. We can straighten all this out later, but I really think you should leave now. You are out of line. I should have you clapped in restraints and hauled to the brig.
I can't believe it. You don't even have the decency to care about my family. How do you sleep at night?
That's enough.
For that matter, how can you even live with yourself?
I said that's enough from both of you.
Don't rest until you've cleared James. Please, Mr. Holmes.
I am ashamed of you, Sherlock. Why did you have to raise her hopes like that? Sometimes I think you are completely heartless. Report to Peter for further instruction. I'll deal with this creature myself.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
Silence? Speak? Well, which is it?
I'm terribly sorry. I've been alone here for some time. I forget the social niceties.
I see. I can understand that.
Can you? Oh, good. It's nice to meet an understanding person.
I'll be halfway through the paper by the time I get my coffee.
Coming, sir. Coming.
Finally. You know I can't plot properly without my coffee.
Of course, Dr. Oblidio. My apologies. Next time I will find a way to make the water boil faster.
Thank you, Winthrop.
Master! Master! Master!
Shh.
But master!
You see what I have here, my smelly little homunculi?
But master!
I have turned this drop of water into an equal measure of dust.
Why?
It's a vital transmutation. A change like this could make a great deal of difference.
To a thirsty cockroach?
No. You have to see how, yes, on a tiny scale, this could be a negligible change.
Sir...
But if you do this 1,000,000 times at once with 1,000,000 drops of water, you could cause an entire lake to suddenly turn to dust, ruining agriculture.
About this curse, are you a crocodile every night?
My tongue, yes. You humans would call it fate, or if you were being melodramatic, my doom.
It's not a particularly creative one. I would have added more tentacles.
Alistair.
I would have cursed you by day as well. It's terribly amateur work. Who did this to you exactly? I could have a word with them.
Oh, no one did this to me. I chose it.
I'm sorry, what?
It seemed the right thing to do at the time. Perhaps I overreacted.
You know, you could save yourself a lot of pain if you just told me who it was who employed you.
Go to hell!
You've already been there, Simon. Tell me, how was death?
And then they'll throw me in prison. But it's your decision. If you want to try and make a break for it, I'll be with you. We could try to reach your mother's old friends in the mountains, or see if the Order of Sencrit...
I don't think we'd get that far.
No. But maybe if we pretended we were going there to make an offering, to pray for your safe passage to the Institute.
Like Oswers ever cared about our Dovin gods.
Well, they let us keep them. That's more than a lot of peoples can say.
In addition to voice acting for other production companies, you've also been writing audio dramas. What role do you prefer, acting or writing?
Well, the funniest thing for me is that I actually got into the audio drama scene through writing. Way back when I first started, I wrote a series of short stories on a defunct fan site called FanLib, if anyone ever remembers that out there. And they were Doctor Who stories. And I think they were around about 5,000 words a story, and I wrote an entire season. I did it for about 13 weeks solid, and wrote this entire season of Doctor Who. And I had an email that dropped into me saying, "Oh, I really liked your stories. I thought they were great. Will you come and do some script work for us over at Damn Audio Productions?" And I'm more than happy to take part in that. So I put some ideas down as to what stories I could write involving Doctor Who, because I liked the fact that I was writing Doctor Who, and that's what they wanted to put out to people. And one thing led to another. I wrote them a script. It seemed to go down very well. A couple of weeks later, I get another email. "Could you do a prose story for us instead?" And they gave me details of criteria that they wanted to be included. A box, Persia, some sort of game. And that became the game of adventure for Damn Audio. And I rather enjoyed that. I enjoyed writing to sort of a specification of, this is a shopping list. We don't care how you get there, but we want you to get there. And it was once I'd sort of got to the end of those two bits, and I'd done a few other scripts for Damn, which were sort of in development stage, that I then looked at, well, I've written for this now. I've seen how this works. Could I act? Could I now do this? I enjoyed the writing part, but it would be nice to actually do the acting. I used to do some acting back in the day. Went by the wayside when real life kicked in, and it would be nice to bring that back. In today's life, I don't have the time to do rehearsals, to go out to a theatre, to rehearse on an evening. I want to be with my family. I want to spend time. So I had to find a way then that I could make the audio thing work for me. And that's what I did. I came across a audio drama forum, and I basically threw myself out there to see what would land, auditioned for a number of roles, and got some, didn't get some, and I sort of build all the repertoire up from there. And I've hopped back into writing since then. I did a piece for Warped Stories. I also did Twisted Tales of Fairy. And I've recently just gone back to Damn Audio, funnily enough. So I do constantly keep my finger on the writing, and there's a few other bits that I do in terms of the writing as well. So, but my enjoyment factor, the bit that I enjoy doing, is the acting. That's the point of time where I get myself my microphone, my setup, and go through a script, and I work on that script, try and figure out where all the character beats are, how I want to portray things, how far am I going to push my voice vocally, and there are some roles where I have really pushed my voice vocally to the point of being hoarse by the end of it. And I like that. I like the stuff that keeps me interested in terms of what I'm doing. One of my favourite scripts was a Starship Excelsior episode. Every Good Captain Has Admiral issues, where the character just jumped off the page. As soon as I read the first interaction with people, it was there. I got this character, and he just flowed from there. And even later on, when the character had a story arc change, a sort of change in persona for him, he was easy to mend into that. So for me, the acting is the best thing, but I do enjoy the writing too. I'm not sure I've actually answered that. I think that's quite fair to say. I enjoy both equally, but the acting is predominantly, I think, where my heart actually is.
Could you tell us a little bit about some of your latest projects?
There's a couple of projects where I have, and have had for many years now, recurring characters. I do like making return appearances and seeing where characters have developed to. One such character is on Starship Excelsior, where I play Commodore Joshua Underwood and have for a number of years now. even having had a stint myself as the captain in the centre seat. And that has been a very, very enjoyable experience, and I would thoroughly recommend that to anyone who likes a long-term drama. I've even re-listened to it myself a couple of times because I find the story quite compelling. And I've just done the pilot for a spin-off series featuring Joshua Underwood called The Hacken War, and more details can be found on Twitter if anyone is interested in that. That is currently undergoing development. I also appear as Yeoman Avery Tovar Smith in Outpost, a Star Trek fan production from Giant Gnome. Again, I would recommend that to anyone who likes long-term storytelling. That company has done 80-plus episodes over the years, and the story does not lose its energy. Again, I'm in the middle of listening to that one at the very moment, because it's been a while since I've actually heard it. In terms of stuff that is live and coming out right now, in your last episode, you talked to Alexa Chipman, and she mentioned her Haunting of Selene series. I'm currently appearing in that as of episode 2 as Go-Fanon. So I'm in that for this series. I'm also appearing as Duke Angelo in Double Falsehood from Pendant Audio. And then there's some other items that are waiting in the wings to be released. Station 41 from New West Radio Theatre. Spacers Inc. from Dream Realms Enterprise. H.G. Wells Has His Regrets from Turpentine Productions. A number of things that I've recorded and laid down, and wait till they're actually released before announcing them. So yeah, I've got a number of things, and then at the same time, I'm still keeping my eyes on all the auditions that I can fit in as and when I want, and when I'm wanted and needed. Sometimes it can happen through auditions. Sometimes it's a producer ringing me up saying we need a voice very quickly, and that actually happened once on Starship Excelsior. I got an email 24 hours before an episode was due to be released as a Boxing Day special, asking me if I'd be willing to record, because they hadn't got an item to go out on the Boxing Day. They'd managed to get 3 actors, including myself, who were willing to record something, and we did. We turned it around in 24 hours, and that episode went out. And it's actually quite a good episode. It's a short piece, but it is a very, very good episode.
As a producer, do you have any advice for voice artists just starting out?
For me, when I first started, it was trying to find my way where, how was I going to work in the world of voice acting? When would I record? Where would I record? Would it be of sufficient quality? Is one of the first things that I would think of. I think it was Alexa who, when I did the first ever piece I ever did, was for Alexa on HMS Lydia. And I got a message saying, can you redo the lines, but perhaps cover your mic with something to sort of soften the vocals that were coming out on it, which I did. So you say your setup is important in terms of what you are delivering. It's the window shop that people will see you through. So that's the first thing I would think of. And like I said, then work out how this will work for you. People will hound you for lines if they're not done on time. Are you the kind of person who will deliver on time, who will record in time, or if there's a problem, will put your hand up straight away and say, I've got an issue, I need to sort this out. Can I get this to you by the end of the week instead of tomorrow? Because once you've got those 2 elements sorted, then you can start looking at the actual vocal aspect. What roles will you go for? What roles interest you as a person? Is it a specific genre you want to record in? I mean, I'm just for myself, when I first started out in this, I made myself a promise. And that was that I was to do at least 1 Star Wars production, 1 Star Trek production, and 1 Doctor Who production. The Star Wars project I got I think that was my second or third audition that I ended up doing. I've mentioned the Star Trek contributions that I've made earlier, and I've done several companies' versions of Doctor Who. So I have managed to fulfill that, and then that's led me into other things. Not for me personally. It wasn't just about concentrating on those, but those were my way into it. And it's then a case of, well, what does interest me? What sort of parts do I like to play? There's a myriad of answers to that, on terms of how open you want to be. And I have tried lots of different. I've tried ones with different accents. Some have been successful, some not so. There is one part that's actually out there on the internet that I have recorded, and the vocal performance I give for it is completely wrong, I think. And that was a miscommunication, the way I interpreted what the role was. And it wasn't until I heard the final piece back and went, right, it should have had this accent to it, not the one that I gave it in the end. So, stuff like that to just sort of be aware of in terms of what you want to put into the parts. The audition process is good for that. There are many times I will sit down, look at an audition and go, could I do this? Could I do this part justice? And I will very rarely apply for a part straight away. I tend to look at the audition, put it to one side, let it simmer for a day or two, and then come back to it again. And then I'll try and record it. And that's not to say then that will go in, because I'll listen back to it. And I will hear, admittedly this is then with my producer head on, and go, could I hear that voice in this production? Will that voice do something for this production? Does it deliver what the brief is for the character? And yeah, I know this probably, it sounds very straightforward, but really nailing into that and analysing that will then give you a taste of whether what you're pitching is right. Because on the back of all this, once you've got the setup sorted, you're getting the auditions in there, it's then how to handle that audition process. At the moment, I will probably spend an evening on auditions, because, as I say, I like to save them, I like to think about them, work on them a little bit, and then I'll do them as a block. But that's where my enjoyment comes from, working on those, coming up with the character. Sometimes I'll look back at other auditions I've done, and I do keep my auditions, and go, is that similar to something else I've already done? Is there a quality here that I like? Especially with my voice, because I tend to change it quite a lot for roles. Having that versatility is important to know which roles I've done and have I used that voice recently on something else. I've done voices that for 90 Nocturne Boulevard for things like Masurin and Tunis the Unstoppable, where the vocal range is completely different to my actual voice. And it's trying to keep that fresh. But as I say, once you've got all that down, you've sort of mastered that art of auditioning, you've mastered you're the kind of person the setup's correct, and you're on the ball with what you're doing, then the next thing to think about is how you handle those audition responses. Because that's something that I tend to find, and tend to be what I tend to see from a lot of people is, I didn't get this part. This is not right. This can't be. And there's only a finite number of parts out there, as most of us know. So I always see it as something else. I see it as an opportunity. And if it doesn't pay off, it doesn't pay off. I'm the shrug of the shoulders. Fine. I've got a voice there and a character there that I can then potentially work into something else later on. It's sometimes the way that I go with it. But it is about creating that element in yourself to handle some of the rejections that you'll get, or in some cases non-responses. And I've had that where I can go 6 months not hear anything, and then contact the person and say, look, I sent this in, have you heard anything? They'll go, we've actually gone ahead with the project, but without you. And in some cases I have even chased producers up myself and said, when I first started out, I was like, I didn't get the part, was there something specific you wanted from me? or a specific vocal quality that you needed that I didn't quite deliver on. And again, that's about building up that sort of knowledge of self and figuring out what you want to do and how you want to do it. Because once you get that and you become, I don't want to use the word comfortable, that's the wrong way to say that, but you know what you can pitch for really well. You know what characters bring you to the fore. I tend to end up with a lot of authoritarian roles. That just seems to be what the vocal range I seem to fit into more than anything else. So I do tend to seek them out. I will branch into something else, but they're the ones I tend to seek out more because that's what I tend to land into better. So, yeah, that's my advice. Understand your setup, understand yourself, persevere. I know that sounds a cliche, but it's very, very true. And, you too will have a good journey on this if that's what you do. And I've had a corking journey myself. I've met some brilliant people. Actually, I haven't actually met them. There's only a handful of people I've actually met. But I've had great communication with people, and I've done great work for people over the years. And yeah, just enjoy it.
Do you have a specific dream role you'd enjoy playing? And are there any other productions you'd like to hear?
I've always... Well, there's kind of two parts to this. There is one role that I was due to play once upon a time, and it fell through. We did a lot of work on the script, and we actually did rehearsals. This was a theatre piece we were doing at the time of The Crucible, and the part of Danforth was the part that I was doing. I know, the authoritarian thing flares itself up again, but I really enjoyed getting into that, and that was a part that I would love to have performed. I got recently made a dream of mine come true in terms of doing Double Falsehood recently, in terms of working with Shakespeare, which I'm rather pleased to have done. But the other part that I would love to have a go at would be the Doctor from Doctor Who. That is a part that I would, that is a part that I would really, really love to do within a double heartbeat. It's something that is, I think, again, it comes into that playfulness in terms of creating that particular character or that version of character with the producers that they want to put over in terms of the story. And I would relish that opportunity to work on something like that, to be able to put something together. Yeah. In terms of a production that I would like to listen to, I should say, The Odyssey. Homer's The Odyssey. I can't even think of a production that I've seen. There probably is one out there somewhere. So apologies if that's your production, but I just can't think of one. But I do like The Odyssey. The Odyssey for me is the ongoing soap opera, the ultimate serial, if you like, in terms of where everything else then spins out from. And fairly sure there's no copyright on it, but I think that would be a good one to do, or certainly something along the classical myths. I really enjoy classical myths. Maybe something like a retelling of the Argonauts in the style of the Avengers. Something like that. Jason and the Argonauts pulling up to the crew of the Argo could become very Avengers-esque. Something like that, where it's kind of developed a bit more. So that's something that I think that could be a good adaptation to do.
Gareth, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And now, our featured audio drama review.
Good evening. My new thriller starts off as a holiday abroad and ends up a nightmare. How do you think I got a discount for all this traveling? Murder is no way to start a vacation.
I'm not going to make it.
Well, I understand. You're obviously a busy man.
Dr. McKenna, listen carefully. You tell the police even one word of what Billy Bernard whispered to you in the marketplace, your little boy will be in serious danger.
Jack West and the Profound Idiots present
The Man Who Knowed Too Much, a wacky send-up of Hitchcock's classic film where the cue for murder is a single crash of the cymbals. The Man Who Knowed Too Much.
Frankly, that's why I avoid concerts these days.
I had the pleasure of listening to Jack West's comedic take on Hitchcock's The Man Who Knew Too Much. West describes his show, The Man Who Knowed Too Much, as in the spirit of Monty Python and Mel Brooks, spoofing the characters, plot, 1950s tropes, virtually lampooning everything in its path from its glaring plot holes to the iconic song Que Sera Sera to the famous concert scene, all played entirely for laughs. I've said it before and I've said it again, you can't go wrong with John Bell in any production, especially comedy, and he really shines here in the Jimmy Stewart role. Diana Helen Kennedy gives multiple wonderful performances as Jo, the Doris Day role, and the role of the little boy. Jack West's writing is stellar, and if you want to break from drama but still want to immerse yourself in a Hitchcock story, his The Man Who Knowed Too Much is not to be missed. That concludes this episode of Soul Twin Talk. I look forward to speaking with you again next week. Be safe, be happy, and always remember,
I can do anything. I can reach any goal today. I can do what I want. I can be what I want to be.
You've been listening to episode 11 of Soul Twin Talk. I'm your host, Rachel Pulliam, and I'd like to thank our guest, Gareth Bowley, for being with us here today, along with Jack West, who shared his episode of The Man Who Knowed Too Much with me. The Soul Twin Audios, Soul Twin Talk, and Dark Paradise themes were composed and performed by Ross Bernhardt, with incidental music by Storyblocks. Please donate to October's Child if you are interested in their trailer, and I would love to see you attend the performance of The Topaz Flower on September 10th. Soul Twin Talk is a Soul Twin Audios production copyrighted in 2022 by creator Rachel Pulliam.